Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we go again. When it comes to Amazon's Rings of Power, this is a TV show that for some reason is never ever leaving the headlines. It's quite unfortunate, and it seems like season 2 is going to keep happening. But apparently we have an admission from the director themselves, where they're basically trying to admit that they're not going to follow the source material, even though they have come out and said that they will, they promise this, that, or whatever. It is constantly being caught that they are lying through their teeth.
Hello,
Let
you
me
are through to
just-
Modo Tech Support. Can I help you today?
So we have a headline here from Fandom Pulse that says Amazon Prime's The Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power Season 2 will disrespect the work despite the director's claims. Now, nobody should be watching Rings of Power and thinking that they're going to get a faithful adaptation of Tolkien's work. Like, that should not be a thing. That should not go through your mind when you're watching Rings of Power. If you want to watch Rings of Power, you should watch the show with the understanding that this is just fan fiction at its worst, okay? Definitely at its worst. This is fan fiction at its worst. It is not an adaptation of Tolkien's work. It's just literally using the names that are in the books and then making up everything else as they go along. So let's get into this article, guys, from Phantom Post. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into the YouTube algorithm. Guys, we're almost at 32,000 subscribers. Let's do what we can to try to get there. It says, Lord of the Rings: Rings of Power director claims that she, keyword she, listened to the complaints, but instead of honoring Tolkien's legacy, she states that the new season will be grittier. The director behind half of the new season's episodes reveals that they tried to make it more worn out and grittier, continuing the lavish series. Well, one thing is a big red flag to this particular TV show is the fact that they decided to go with an all-female directed, little studio, whatever going on right there. They have an all-female directed team. It is a very, very big red flag. And the funny thing is, if it wasn't for modern day, if it wasn't for modern Hollywood, an all-female directed team would not really scare anybody. But unfortunately, they're hired by people that don't have experience to be doing what they're doing. A lot of these women don't have experience doing fantasy. They don't have experience doing anything Lord of the Rings related, and you're going to give them a series that has cost over $1 billion and expect them to have at it. I mean, there's no way that they're going to be able to create something that's going to be faithful to the source material. It's impossible. And you know why it's impossible? It's because to this day, Amazon does not have the rights to the Second Age. They only have the rights to some of the appendices, which gives them some names and locations and things they can use from the Second Age, but they do have some of the rights for the Third Age, which is why they made a Balrog appear out of nowhere well before they were supposed to. All these things that they did that changed the source material from what it was in Tolkien's work. This is going to piss off Lord of the Rings fans even more, and they don't really care, ladies and gentlemen. They're not going to care because they've already dedicated resources and money to seeing this through. They already knew that they were going to have the first 2 seasons paid for and ready to go, so they knew that this was going to happen whether or not they were successful or not. And of course, you guys remember, they tried to fake their success, right? They tried to say the first episode had 24 million viewers, even though they eventually changed that to 24 million samples, which is a big difference between viewers and samples. A sample was like 1 or 2 minutes long, essentially, and that was counted as a sample. It was such a clusterfuck, and season 2 is going to be even worse of one. It says, despite claims of listening to viewer feedback, the first season of The Lord of the Rings: Rings of Power drew widespread criticism for distorting Tolkien's original narrative, for its heavy-handed injection of identity politics, which we all saw what happened to all the diversity hires in Rings of Power. They essentially killed all of them off. The only one they kept alive was the Black Elf. That's all they did. Everybody else that was a diversity hire and got killed off or sent into the abyss. It says, rather than remaining faithful to Tolkien's writings, the first season churned out a creatively bankrupt show. Viewers expressed disappointment as almost every male character portrayed thus far appeared as either cowardly, obnoxious, or both. Additionally, the show's portrayal of the iconic character Sauron was heavily criticized. The series neglected to depict his true fall, his opportunity for redemption, his eventual rejection of it, and his transformation into the embodiment of evil. Well, so here's the problem. They're always going for the sympathetic villain, right? They want to go for the sympathetic villain because people like this, they idolize villains. They idolize criminals. They idolize bad people. So they want to make sure that every time they showcase criminals, every time they showcase evil people, that they try to make them sympathetic. Give them a sympathetic villain. That way they could give them a redemption arc and make everybody feel as if Sauron was really not the bad guy to begin with, and it was actually Galadriel or whoever the case may be. This is the story they want to push because this is what they always push whenever they make new TV shows based on originally established IPs. It says Swedish director Charlotte Brandstrom, currently embroiled in the production of new miniseries Shogun, recently spoke about the continuation of Rings of Power during an interview with Movie Zine. Brandstrom vaguely promised a darker or more character-driven second season, suggesting that viewers can expect more authentic and gritty storytelling. However, her assertion of having listened to feedback rings hollow given the glaring issues overlooked in the first season. The mere attempt to add a rougher aesthetic to the series does little to address the fundamental narrative flaws that alienated so many Tolkien enthusiasts. Well, again, if you're a Tolkien enthusiast, you're not the targeted demographic for this show. They're not trying to get you as a viewer. They're trying to get the normie who watched the original Lord of the Rings films and could, recognize certain names or certain races or whatever. They're trying to get the normie, right? That's why they're doing this. They're not doing this to get the Tolkien nerd. They gave you guys up a long time ago. They don't care about Tolkien nerds. They don't care about Tolkien lovers. They don't care about anything like that. If you read the books, they don't want you. They don't like you. They want to change the source material so that it pisses you off. That they think that they are better writers than Tolkien. They even said they're going to write the book that Tolkien never wrote. Imagine saying something like that. Imagine saying that with a straight face, that you're going to write a book that Tolkien never wrote. It's just such a fucked up thing to say. It says Brandstrom's involvement in directing 4 of the second season's episodes does little to instill confidence in viewers who were dismayed by the missteps of the first season. While the director hints at unexpected plot twists, it remains to be seen whether these developments will rectify the deeper concerns raised by Tolkien fans. Furthermore, the lack of clarity regarding the premiere date for the second season adds to the uncertainty surrounding the show's future. Although Brandstrom claims to have previewed rough cuts of the upcoming episodes, the level of completion regarding special effects and other crucial elements remain unclear. Well, to be clear, this show was heavily reliant on CGI. If you guys remember the first season, it was so reliant on CGI, almost everything looked super fake as it was going through. But for the most part, the show was very nice to look at. You can clearly see that the money went into the CGI, but it damn sure didn't go into the costumes. The costumes were some of the ugliest, worst costumes I have ever seen. And when you think back and you realize that Lord of the Rings, the first trilogy of Lord of the Rings movies, those movies had some of the best costume design still to this modern day. You look at those costumes and then you look at the shit that they gave us in Rings of Power that looked like regular paper, and you wonder, where the hell did the money go? The money all went into CGI. The money went into trying to sell you something that wasn't really existing. They didn't give you practical effects. They didn't give you practical, sets. They didn't give you actual good costume design. They just gave you something pretty to look at that was CGI, had really bright lights, and kept it moving. That's all they gave you. Like, they spent so much money on that. It was obvious. It says, given the lingering dissatisfaction for the first season, viewers may approach the new season with caution, awaiting further details before committing to watching. In light of the significant issues plaguing the first season, Brandstrom's vague promises of improvement may fall short of reassuring Tolkien fans. The director's attempt to address criticism by simply altering the visual style of the show overlooks the deeper narrative concerns that undermine the series' credibility. As anticipation builds for the second season, viewers remain cautiously optimistic, hoping for a more faithful adaptation of Tolkien's beloved works. Whoa, time out. Who the fuck is cautiously optimistic? Who is cautiously optimistic about season 2 Rings of Power? If anybody's cautiously optimistic, please let me know in the comments down below. I don't know of any of you that exists. There's not a single person that I know of that is cautiously optimistic about Rings of Power season 2. Everybody is fully ready to roast the shit out of this season. We are fully ready to see and be proven right that this is going to be yet another mega flop within Amazon's Rings of Power, because this show has an inability to stay to the source material. It can't. It's illegal. They really can't even stay to the source material because they don't own the rights to it. So even though they're going to try to tell you, yeah, this is going to be pretty close and we promise to be faithful, it's literally impossible. Stop believing what they're saying. Until something comes out that they've purchased the rights to the second age, they cannot actually stay true to the source material. So everything that they say to try to hint towards that is complete and utter bullshit. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.